A TV show discussion begins with reports that China's top military general, the first vice chairman of the Communist Party's Central Military Commission and a former close ally of Xi Jinping, has been accused of accepting bribes and leaking nuclear secrets to the U.S. Gordon Chang expresses skepticism regarding the espionage allegations, suggesting they may be a fabricated justification to remove a political adversary. He characterizes the Chinese Communist Party as being in turmoil due to an aggressive dismantling of military leadership. This leadership vacuum raises questions about China's military readiness. While Admiral Davidson previously predicted a potential invasion of Taiwan by 2027, Chang argues that the annihilation of senior leadership makes a large-scale combined military operation difficult to execute. However, he warns that the risk of war remains high because a weakened Xi Jinping may intentionally maintain high tensions to distract from internal issues, increasing the risk of a dangerous miscalculation. The focus shifts to Canada's new trade deal with China under Prime Minister Carney. President Trump has reacted aggressively to this development, threatening 100% tariffs on Canada to prevent the country from becoming a drop-off port for Chinese goods into the U.S. Chang notes that while Canada maintains a significant trade surplus with the U.S., it is far more dependent on the American market than vice versa. A specific point of contention is the potential import of Chinese electric vehicles, EVs, into Canada. Chang supports the U.S. ban on these vehicles, labeling them rolling spy machines and surveillance of American roads through the back door. He suggests that if Canada allows these imports, the Trump administration should prevent them from crossing the U.S. border. Despite these tensions, Chang advises the administration to eventually tone down the rhetoric to maintain the long-standing undefended border and prevent Ottawa from aligning more closely with Beijing. Gordon Chang offers a critical perspective on these allegations. Political purge. Chang suggests the espionage charges may be fabricated to justify the general's arrest, noting that the officer was likely a political adversary of Xi Jinping rather than a spy. Operational readiness. The annihilation of senior leadership through these arrests has put the Chinese military in a state of turmoil. Chang argues that it is nearly impossible for the PLA to launch complex, combined air, land, and sea operations while its top leadership is being dismantled. The risk of miscalculation. Despite the weakened military structure, Chang warns that the risk of war remains high. He notes that Xi Jinping has more incentive now to keep international tensions high to distract from internal instability. If a minor incident escalates, Xi may find himself unable to de-escalate. Regarding the Davidson window, the prediction that China would attempt to take Taiwan by 2027, Chang expresses skepticism. He believes internal factors already hindered such an invasion, and the current purging of leadership further complicates any such timeline. A significant portion of the dialogue focuses on Canadian Prime Minister Carney's new trade dealings with China. President Trump has issued a stark warning to Carney, threatening 100% tariffs on Canadian goods if the deal moves forward. Key points of the trade dispute include the drop-off port concern. The Trump administration fears that Canada will become a backdoor for Chinese products to enter the American market duty-free. Trade surpluses. Chang points out that in 2024, Canada ran a $62 billion trade surplus against the U.S., a figure estimated at $45 billion for the following year. He emphasizes that Canada is far more dependent on the U.S. than the U.S. is on Canada. The EV threat. Liz Peek and Gordon Chang highlight the specific threat of Chinese electric vehicles, EVs, entering Canada. Chang refers to these as rolling spy machines and supports the 2025 prohibition on their import into the U.S. due to surveillance concerns. He urges the Trump administration to block any such vehicles from being driven across the border from Canada. Diplomatic strategy. While supporting a firm stance, Chang suggests that President Trump should eventually tone down the rhetoric. He argues that maintaining a positive relationship with Ottawa is essential due to the long shared border and the strategic need to keep Canada from aligning with Beijing. The conversation concludes with an analysis of the National Defense Strategy for 2026, released by the U.S. Department of War. This strategy marks a pivot in how the U.S. handles its primary global competitor. The strategy focuses on three main pillars. First, strategic stability and de-escalation. The Pentagon aims to open wider military-to-military communication channels with the PLA to prevent dominance and ensure deconfliction. Second, internal resilience. The U.S. is focusing on bringing supply chains back home, rebuilding its military, and increasing shipbuilding capabilities. Third, the Greenland Framework Agreement. President Trump is pushing for a deal to acquire Greenland as part of a Golden Dome defense system. This initiative is intended to intercept potential missiles launched from China or Russia. Chang remains pessimistic about the feasibility of stable relations, noting that it is difficult to maintain a relationship with a regime in such deep political turmoil. However, he strongly supports the Greenland Framework, calling it a vital start to the defense of the American and North American homelands. The discussion reflects a world in which the U.S. is actively decoupling from China, while pressuring its allies to do the same. Bartiromo concludes that while China and Canada are perceived as weakening, the current U.S. administration is focused on empowering the United States through defense and economic independence.